Stirring the coffee with flaming chopsticks using the vortex method, the only true way to optimize the taste of your coffee at the molecular level. Good morning. Welcome to the Daybreak Show. I am the Sultan. We'll get started, but first, coffee. Freshly ground. Pour through method. Heavy cream. Cold outside. Just below freezing. Coffee so hot that you can just barely take a sip of it. Poured some into the mug, the Unstuck mug. The other into a travel mug, which I preheated with hot water. And that will go to work with me today. I'm psyched. Money doesn't come to vagueness. It comes to specific. When I was actually working as a therapist for many years, 22 years, some of you don't know this. You newer people might not know this. I was a trained psychotherapist for 22 years, and I always cut hair. When I got burnt out and left the therapy world, I went into cutting hair full time. Now I am reducing my cutting hair hours down and building back up the practice of helping people, but not in the role of a therapist, but in the role of a coach, which is kind of a natural move. I think a lot of people would have guessed that would be coming. Nobody does everything. Nobody. And then they wondered why their practices weren't successful, because they thought that they could do everything. And that leads me to my first topic of the day today, is that money doesn't come to vagueness, it comes to specific. Let's just say that you are experiencing some type of, your mind is wandering, you're thinking about the past, you want to work things out. You want to go to someone who specializes in helping you with that, not someone who does everything. It's like a mechanic. I want to go to somebody that specializes in the kind of vehicle that I drive, not someone who does everything, or a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I found that I was very successful because I was very specific, very targeted in the type of problems that I dealt with, marketed myself as such, and people sought me out for that, versus, oh, I just do everything. I'm a therapist. Come to me because I can solve all your problems. I was the first guy in the organization that I worked for that said, I can't do this. I'm turning away cases. I have very little insight into certain pathologies, just never really got it. Was never really interested in studying it. I didn't pretend that I knew the answers to everything. Money doesn't come to vagueness, it comes to specific. Need more money? Get more specific in life. I took a poll. Do you prefer Wishing You Were Here by Chicago or Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd? Put your answers down below. The holidays. It's the most wonderful time of the year, when single people either jump for joy or just avoid everything social. For you single people, which one are you? Do you avoid social things, or do you just want to be part of every party? I know for myself, I like spending holidays either alone or with a small group. After my family was blown up by divorce many, many years ago, I always felt like any invites on the holidays after I was divorced were kind of like what I call sympathy invites. Like, oh, he's alone, let's invite him over. And then that was the reason why. Because he's alone. We don't want him to be alone. And that's when I actually learned how to be alone. And that's how I loved solitude. I loved solitude. I went to college and university in the Philadelphia area. I'm from New York. I used to go home. There were times when my family would be on vacation somewhere. So for me, it wasn't worth driving back to New York because no one was there. So there were times when I spent some time with friends who didn't have a place to go on the holidays. Other times I was alone, either in the dorm room in college or I just took a hike by myself, packed up some food in a backpack and a thermos of coffee or hot chocolate. And for decades now, I've learned to love solitude. I didn't always like it, but I learned to like it. So for me, the holidays are not a scary time of year. And I'm actually at the point now, my kids are grown. I'm actually at the point in my life where I prefer quietness and, if possible, solitude. I don't seek out solitude, but I'm not afraid of it. And it's a beautiful thing. When you get to that point, you can enjoy anything. But it's kind of funny when people say, oh, you have to come over for Christmas Day dinner or Thanksgiving dinner. Because my family now, my personal immediate family was destroyed by divorce. My parents and brothers have all their things going on and they're now in Florida. So when people say, oh, come over, you can't spend the day alone. And I'm thinking, oh, yes, I can. Try me. And there were times where I would just have a magnificent holiday by myself. Because I'm never by myself in the past. Now I'm by myself a lot and I enjoy the time off from people. And I would be sitting there at a big table with 25 people all talking, and that's cool, okay? But I would think, man, I could be home right now reading a book, eating a small dinner, drinking a cup of coffee, having a cigar after. And I'm like, gee, I can't wait to do that as soon as I get home. And being around a crowd, and I'm not agoraphobic, I don't fear crowds, I don't fear people, because I can be equally as social. I really love the solitude. Love it. Absolutely love it. So, it's the holidays, when single people either jump for joy or just avoid everything social. How are you when it comes to the holidays? How are you when it comes to solitude? Are you afraid of being alone? Do you fill up your space with people and activity and commotion and motion? I'd like to see your response down below. It's not that I feel like I'm in a different country when I go to Whole Foods. I feel like I'm on a different planet when I walk in that store. Just the way it's lit, the people that work there, most of the people that shop there, not my kind of people. Like, what? Does anyone know what I'm talking about? What the heck is it when you walk into a Whole Foods? I don't get it. I don't get it. Bob Dylan wrote that song, All Along the Watchtower. I like Jimi Hendrix's version much better. I really do. It's like the song Take It Easy, which was mostly written by Jackson Browne, partly written by Glenn Frey, but I like the Eagles version better than Jackson Browne's version. Are there any other songs like that where one person wrote it? Like, for instance, Patsy Cline sings the song Crazy, which I love her version of Crazy. You know who wrote that? Willie Nelson, which I think is kind of funny. To hear his version of it, there's something about it that it's not as attractive to me as Patsy Cline. Listen to the two on YouTube and tell me what you think. If there was a zombie apocalypse, you already know who's going to get eaten, don't you? Think about your friends and your associates and the people you work with. You already know the people who are going to die first, right? After watching The Walking Dead, and I lost track of it a couple years ago, because I can't stand watching things from season to season. I usually wait till they're on Netflix, and then I'll just binge them, and that's it. But if there was a zombie apocalypse, The Walking Dead taught you who will survive and who will not survive, and what's important and what's not important. It's kind of like right now. Who's going to survive and who's not, financially and emotionally. Men with beards are like women with their hair. The curly girls straighten their hair, and the straight hair girls always want to have curls. What is with guys wanting to straighten their beards? I'm not really sure of that. These heat brushes. That curl is there for a reason. But it's hard to comb through. Well, maybe you shouldn't be combing your beard. Maybe you should be picking it out with a really wide comb versus a comb. Certain movements have taught us that we need to brush our beards and comb our beards. What about just picking it out? I remember when my beard was longer, one of the things I did was I washed it. I didn't dry it, just kind of shook it dry. And then I just put a tiny bit of oil, and then I scrunched the beard like the curly hair girls do with their hair. Scrunched it. And it created these locks and this look that I had that I never saw before, and I loved it. One of the things I don't like about my beard is that I lost the curl. When you lose the pigment from your hair, most people don't realize this, is that the actual pigment cells contribute to the structure of the hair. I used to have a curly beard. Curly, like an afro, where I couldn't brush it, and I couldn't comb. I could not drag a comb through it. Now I can comb this beard like I comb my hair. When my hair turned white, when the pigment was gone, the structure was gone, and my hair went straight. So now my beard is straight. And what I'm not trying to do is make it curly again. I'm just rolling with the changes, which I suggest you do as well. Stop trying to change everything that's natural in your life and enjoy what you have. Whether it be gray hair, curly hair, straight hair, a sparse beard, a heavy beard, whatever. The hair on your head, or lack of it. Enjoy what you have. You'll be fine. You'll notice I'm drinking coffee from the Unstuck coffee mug. Gosh, I had this made up probably, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Some of you have seen it before. Unstuck means that you have traction. That's why I've called my coaching Traction Coaching, which is starting up real soon. You feel stuck. If you have ever driven a car that was stuck in the snow, you know this. You can be stuck. You're stepping on the gas and the wheels are turning, but the car is going nowhere. So what do? You have to dig the car out. Maybe put some salt or sand down, or even a board, so the tires can grip something. And guess what happens? You get traction. There's a lot of people who are in motion who don't have traction. Are you working real hard to get somewhere, but you're just not getting anywhere? The problem is lack of traction. That's what being unstuck is all about. 2020 is the year that you get unstuck. You're not going to get unstuck in less than a month. 2019 is over. I started telling people in 2016. 2016 is the year that you get unstuck. People were like, what is this unstuck stuff? If you've been with me for a few years, you've now seen that. And then I would say 2017, 2018, 2019, now it's 2020 is the year that you get unstuck. Where do you need to get unstuck? Please put your answer down below. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you haven't, hit the subscribe button and then the little bell next to the button, which will tell you that this content is coming out every time it does. And I have some great interviews coming up as well, and I don't want you to miss it. And with that, finish your coffee, and I'll see you tomorrow on the Daybreak Show, the home of sanity, clarity, and reason.